Peloton up 5%.
What's up, disciplined investor?
We got Benzinga CEO Jason Raznick here with us.
The man, the myth, the legend, Tom Nash.
Peter Schiff on the Power Hour with us live today. Interesting, different, unique, innovative companies. Mia, you are live with us on the Power Hour. What's up?
Thank you so much for inviting me on.
Jessica Billingsley, that is the CEO of Akerna, the best trade idea resource out there. Yo, what's up, everybody? Happy Monday! We are back at it another week, a shortened week. But what's up, Mr. Drew? Thank you for coming on and hanging out with me today.
Of course, I'm doing quite well. How about you?
Doing well, doing well. It's a Monday morning, my favorite day of the week. Every week, because I have the most energy on Mondays. So let's dive straight into it, guys. I'm going to start today off the way that I start every single day, which is to remind you of the point of this show. Wow, Rohan popping in for a second there, producer Rohan, and I hear myself twice. Producer Rohan, Aaron was having that issue too on Friday. But all right, guys, the Power Hour. The reason why we're doing this show 2 hours every single day is because we want this to be the best trade idea resource out there. That is what we are going for. Ideas not just coming from myself, not just coming from Drew, not even the guests that we're bringing on. We've got some good guests. I'll get to those in a second. But most importantly, out of ZingerNation, that's all of you out there in the community hanging out with us every single day while we do this thing, guys. Drop your favorite stocks that you're trading today in the chat. Let's get some ideas going. I think that we'll have some time. Drew, are you ready for this lineup, this agenda today? I don't know if we're gonna get through it all.
Let's see it. I'm hyped up.
All right, so I guess we'll start on the guest side of things. We're gonna have two guests today. Danielle, Shay, Simpler Trading, is gonna be talking about option strategy and giving us some option setups. That's at 12:30 Eastern in about 30 minutes from now. And then 1 o'clock Eastern, our favorite young investor is going to be coming back on with us, giving us some stock picks. I've got to talk to him about created ticker CRTD, Charlie Romeo Tango Delta. That's a stock that I got into. It's a content play off of him. It has been an NFT ripper. So I definitely want to talk about that one. So that's on the guest side of things. Outside of guests, last week, we did a covered call trade on Visa, and then we did put selling on Palantir. I said we would track these trades all the way through completion so you guys can understand exactly how these transactions work, how we make money with them as time goes on, etc. So we will go through those. I want to talk about some of the NFT stocks, Drewski. We had ZingerNation crowdsource a list of them, so let's pull that list up. Let's share it in the chat. And let's talk about if the NFT ones are still relevant. I mean, they've had a nice little run over the past 2 weeks. I want to do a lesson on due diligence. And then, of course, we're going to have our chat challenge. We're ZingerNation. We're trying to figure out who is the best stock picker in the chat. The winner this week getting a nice Benzinga Pro. We haven't done a Benzinga Pro giveaway in a little bit, but, it's a shortened week. We got to celebrate a little bit. How's that?
Sounds good.
And then, of course, guys, drop the tickers in the chat. We'll get to them. I see KTOS is one of them. ACTG. I'm jotting them down. KTOS. Let's see. ACTG. We'll do Dolphin. DLPN. So, all right. There's a good basket of tickers. Again, if you have more, drop them in. And Drewski, check this out. I have a new soundboard today. I don't know what any of these sounds are. I'm just going to press a couple, okay?
There you go.
Okay, I like that.
Excellent.
Show me the money.
Oh, groovy.
No shit.
To infinity and beyond.
All right, good. So we're going to have some fun today, too. All right? How does that sound?
Sounds great.
We're going to be hitting some random sounds throughout the day. I used to have a basket of 10. Now I've got literally maybe in the hundreds.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll figure that out, okay? I fat fingered that one a little bit. But all right, Drewski, let's start off with a little bit of news today. But before we dive into this agenda, in case anybody hasn't heard, the tanker is officially cleared. It is moving north, going to an anchor spot. So even though it had to be stuck and hang out for about a week, it's now going to anchor up. I'm sure that they want to make sure there's no damages before they send it throughout the ocean. But trade is set to resume. We had a couple things going for us that got that tanker dislodged. It was a combination of raising tides along with some tugboats that were able to eventually dislodge part of the tanker, part of the ship yesterday. The rest of it today, so it is officially opened up and moving. Again, that's in the Suez Canal, one of the busiest trade routes in the world. We saw a lot of goods that were being rerouted to go all the way down around Africa. That adds about 2 weeks or so to total travel time. So we are all happy that is dislodged and moving. Other news, Drewski. Have you taken a look at small cap stocks recently?
I have not.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Let's talk about small cap. I logged into my brokerage account today. Notice that I was getting hammered. Here's a 1 month chart. And the reason why I'm getting hammered is because I own a lot of the Russell 2000. That is the ETF that tracks the Russell 2000, the small cap index. The Russell has been having some difficulties recently. So check this out. Again, this is a 1 month chart up on my screen here. I'll switch it over to 1 year. Here are daily candles. You can see that the small caps have been moving a little bit differently than their large cap brethren in the S&P 500, sitting a decent bit below the high. The high there is around 235. Now down to about 215, about 2.5% lower. If we go ahead and we pull up the same 1 year chart, daily candles here on the S&P 500, you see we're still hanging out pretty damn close to all-time highs. Part of the thinking here on my end is that it's a little bit of rotation, maybe, right? As we've seen some more of this recent market volatility, maybe some investors are starting to get spooked, right? That we've seen rotation out of a lot of tech names and out of a lot of these high flyers and into some of these more stable traditional names. I think that the same thing could be happening with small caps, right? Where some of these more volatile stocks, these companies that have more exposure to just general economic risks, you see funds rotating some money out of and into some of these more stable, more boring large cap peers.
Definitely.
Yeah, I've got a decent amount of small cap exposure, both through the stocks that I own and through the ETF. But I don't know. That's what I've got on that front. Anything to add there, Drew?
Yeah, I also pretty big into small caps. I call it the Jamias, Enphase. I wouldn't necessarily call those small caps, maybe more towards the mid cap, but still stocks that are high growth and kind of getting hammered here. What's interesting is the Fed said, they're not going to raise rates. And we're kind of still seeing this little bit of a frightened pullback, let's call it. It's nothing too huge, but it's a little bit of a downtick. I still think there's a lot of value to be had here. You're seeing USO right there in the bottom, kind of up a little bit in the commodities, which is interesting still. But I don't know. We'll see. I think there's value. There's definitely some value now, and maybe it's a pullback that was needed. Things don't just go up forever in my eyes. Things go up, then they go down, then they go back up, right? So that's kind of what I think. But yeah, that's my take.
Alrighty. And then the last piece of news that I want to touch on today, of course, we had a family office, a hedge fund exploding, and that's sort of wrecking some of the banks today. So I'm sure that you guys have all seen the headlines, right? That we had a big fund. It blew up, and then banks are getting hit today on the heels of that. So let's go ahead. I'm going to pull up the charts of Credit Suisse. There you go, down 12% today. Again, this is a 1 year chart, daily candles. And I'm also going to pull up Nomura. That's a Japanese bank, down 13.5%. Again, 1 year chart, daily candles. And let's break this down just to dig beyond the headlines a little bit and explain how this happened. But basically, you had a fund that had somewhere around $5 billion worth of assets. And then they levered that up to own, I believe it was a little bit more than $20 billion worth of stocks, right? So it's like, if you in your brokerage account, deposit money worth $5, then you're using that to buy $20 worth of stocks. What happened is some of these stock bets moved against the fund. The banks called and said, hey, you need to put up more collateral in order to keep these positions on. The fund said, shit, we're out of money. We don't have any more collateral to put up. This is where we're at. the bank said, okay, we're going to go ahead and liquidate these positions for you. You know, the value of the fund, everything that they own is going to be cleared out. That's all gone down to zero. The losses that were taken on leverage, that's a lot of what's going to be absorbed by these banks. And so when you see a Credit Suisse saying it's going to take a major hit on it, when you see Nomura saying it's going to take a major hit on this, that's what's causing it. And I mean, the impact of this is crazy in my mind, right? I mean, let's go back to CS because it's a bigger bank, right? You have a $35 billion stock, right? Global bank, global company. I mean, been around since like 1850 or somewhere along these lines, down 12% on this news, right? They took so much of a hit on this fund blowing up that the stock is down 12%. They said this move is going to wipe out most, if not all, of their quarterly earnings for the whole quarter, for the whole bank. I mean, like a maybe 50,000 employee bank, right? The actions from this one fund, they called it here. I'll zoom in on our Benzinga Pro here. Highly significant losses is what they called it. They said they don't know what the exact amount is yet, right? They've got to figure out how much they can unload all these assets for. Because basically they're going around, right? They're holding, let's say, $10 billion worth of stock for this fund. They've got to unload that all at once. They're saying, hey, who's going to take $2 billion of this off of my hands at once? I'm going to give you a 20% discount on the shares if you can go ahead and grab those $2 billion off of my hands and that sort of thing. So that's what happened. You know, that's why it's you know, getting blown up today. And you see all the other banks following suit a little bit, right? Here's our JP Morgan down almost 2% today. Let's go maybe to Morgan Stanley, down about 4% today. And both of these banks, right? I just pulled two examples, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley. Neither of them said that, hey, they're exposed to this fund and going to take losses from it. These stocks are moving basically off of the implied risk to the entire system. You know, Bank of America, that's the one that I own. You know, here I'll click over to the live portfolio. And if you guys are new to the show, every single day, what we do is we show my live brokerage account. These are the stocks that I actually own, whether we're up or down. You see we're down about a G today. We're showing it because we want this to be the most you know, transparent stock market show out there. But check this out. You know, my Bank of America calls, I own the January 2022 calls at $35, down 10% on this news. Where are you at with this one, Drewski?
Yeah, I think it's interesting, but in the grand scheme of things, it's just a short-term little hurdle. If you like Credit Suisse, maybe pull the trigger on that. I really do not know too much about these institutions. I mean, I know Bank of America, JP Morgan. I've looked at them in the past, but I don't know. It's kind of just a short-term thing. Obviously, you know, it might hurt them for a quarter, but a year from now, I don't think people are going to be talking about it.
Yeah, I'm sort of in a similar boat, right? Where I think that this is a little bit, if you like the sector, if you like the individual names, I mean, I think especially if you like the sector, if you like the individual names, it's a buy the dip opportunity. If you don't, it still might be a buy the dip opportunity. I'm right now currently have a decent amount of bank exposure. We just looked at that Bank of America position. Again, I have the 2022 Bank of America calls. Plus, I own several of these small community banks. We can talk more about these in the future and why I like the community banks, some of these small banks. But I'm with you on this one, Drew. I think this is definitely a little bit of a buy the dip opportunity, especially if you like the individual stocks. All right, there's our news update. Drew, I will let you pick what we do next. I'll give you three options. How's that?
I like that.
All right, you like the three options? So we can do updates on the covered call and put selling trades that we did in the live portfolio last week. So there's option one. Option two, we can do NFTs. Talk about some of these NFT stocks. And pull out. We're gonna reshare that sheet that ZingerNation, all you out there in the chat, dropped in your NFT ideas in there, so we can do that. Or number three, we can pull tickers out of the chat.
Ooh, let's start with your positions, Luke, because I know Palantir is down a little bit. I wonder how Visa is reacting. Should be interesting. I want to hear your take on this, especially, right? Because if I'm not mistaken, I believe you sold the $22 put on Palantir, and it's kind of right around there. So that's kind of a win in my eyes if you snipe the price of your put selling, just because if you think about it, right, you're getting paid and you're buying the shares like just at strike price, obviously a little bit lower. Maybe you're going to fade actually getting put, and you walk away with some cash. Like, that's a win scenario. Like, that's the best case scenario. And I think you did a really great job of picking a strike price.
All right, we're going to try a new sound effect.
On target.
Okay. Medium. We give it a 5 out of 10.
Okay.
Oh, that'll be fun. All right. Later on in the segment, we're gonna have people rate once I get through the ideas, right, and we go through the stocks. But because I really do the thing that's most important for me to get to today is going through like a due diligence lesson, right? I get all these questions about how do you do due diligence on a company. That's the one thing I want to make sure we get to. Once we get through that, let's do a battle of some sound effects and have the group vote whether to keep some or not. But all right, Drew, you picked it. Let's do some options trade updates. So last week, as examples for the group, I'm going to start with the more boring one. We sold covered calls against our Visa position, and we also sold puts against Palantir. So covered call trade, I'm just going to give the high level. I'm not going to walk through the whole thing. And somebody said, do you still have your support.com put? I do. We'll look at that one in a second, too. Let's jot that one down. SPRT. But all right, covered calls. Basically, the reason why I like covered calls is that it's a way to create income on the stocks that you own, right? So Visa, it's a stock that I own. I own 200 shares of the stock. And then what I do is I sell 2 calls at a time against the stock each month. Okay, so if we go ahead, let's sort this in alphabetical order. There we go. Visa. All right, so what we did last week is we sold the calls that were expiring about a month out. So that's April 16th at the $240 strike for $2.73. That's $273 a contract, about $550 per set of 2 contracts. We've now earned 94% of what we can own in this trade, right? So the risk that we take on when we sold these puts is that we might have to sell our shares of Visa at $240 a share. That's above where the stock was currently trading. So my worst case scenario is, let's say Visa was trading at around 225 at the time, which I believe it was. I'm going to have to sell my shares at 240, higher than the stock is right now. And then I'm getting paid $550 to do that. The best case scenario is that Visa is somewhere between 225 and 240 on April 16th. And then I collect my $550 for selling the 2 contracts. And then we're all good to go. I see Bill Big D in the chat doing a quick chat scan. What's up, ZingerNation? Is saying close those Visa calls. He is spot on with that, right? We've already earned 94% of everything we can earn, right? So if we take that 550-ish bucks, times 0.94%. So we've already earned 517 out of about $550. There is no reason to leave this trade on. We might as well close it out. So that's something that I'll do once we hop off the show today. So in order to save us a little bit of time, but Visa trade, we're going to go ahead and close that one. Rack it up as a winner. Let's, I don't know. Do you hear the full good job? I only hear job.
Yeah.
You hear what? The full good job?
Here, play again.
Good job.
No, I hear the whole thing.
All right. So good job on that trade. Anybody who followed us into it, round of applause for you. I know we're by ourselves. It's Monday. Let's give ourselves a round of applause. Maybe a pat on the back, warm the fingers up a little bit. Maybe get us nice and limber for some trading. But there it is on the Visa trade. We watched this whole trade through the life cycle on the show. We made the trade last week. And we saw it come to fruition where we made pretty much 100% of everything we can make on the trade. Somebody in the chat is saying, why close it? Because for the room to make an extra $30, it's not worth having the risk on there or having to think about it, right? Look at how many stocks I own, guys. I'm just going to scroll really quickly through the portfolio. I mean, you see a ton of positions that I own, right? That's not even the whole thing, right? That's just me randomly scrolling through a handful of them. You see it's a ton of stocks there. There's, it's one less thing to manage around. Again, for $30, let's close it out and let's do it again for the next month. But there it is on the Visa trade. The other one, Drewski, that you pulled up, the Palantir. Let's give a nice little sort here again.
One thing I will say too, while Luke's pulling that up, is $32 Luke doesn't care about $32. All right, his portfolio is up $1,000, down $1,000. Maybe up a few grand. He could care less. I think most of us could too, right? Think about the risk. If this thing moves up all of a sudden, he just lost that $500. Money is not made until the trade is closed, right, people? So lock in those gains. Yeah, he could squeeze out a little bit of value, but in my eyes, it's just really not worth it, right? He could sell more puts further out, start capturing more time decay, but there's really no reason for him to hold on to that for much longer, right?
Drew, look how annoying this is. When I try to sort it alphabetically, it doesn't really work.
Yeah, what's going on
There's some of them that are still left. All right, where's Palantir in here?
Can you command that?
Closed it. Yeah, probably. Voyager still running. Let's go Voyager, PLTR. Palantir. I don't think I closed that. All right, Drew. While I look for this, here, I'm going to pull up the chart of Palantir. The interactive brokers is a little screwy sometimes. Here's a 1-year chart, daily candles. Go ahead, give us the bull pitch on Palantir. This is your favorite stock. So just take us through the stock and the pitch, and I'm going to go look for my trade. It might take me a second to reload this page, etc.
Definitely. Yeah, so Palantir, it's just chilling right at this kind of nice, we'll call it support line-ish thing, trend line, whatever you want to call it. It's touched down to 23, 22, and it's just kind of hanging out here, right? There's not much action going on, but in my eyes, I think the stock is going to absolutely kill it. I was doing some due diligence on them yesterday, and it looks like they plan to be profitable 24, 25, So we got a few years until this company is technically profitable, but it looks like they're just still growing revenue at an exponential level. I mean, the chart is really...
And so why do you own the stock?
Why do I own it?
Or the revenue growth?
Yeah, okay, so there's multiple reasons. One is, the revenue growth, I think, is going to be extremely strong, especially when they kind of go more towards corporations. They've only been really focusing on governments, and corporations is going to be an absolutely huge market. And also, I think data and the industry that Palantir is in is kind of just dominated by them, right? There's no really huge player that's able to do things that they are able to do, right? Peter Thiel is one rule.
Basically, it's like a data mining company, more or less. Yes or no?
Kind of. Yeah, I mean, they're really good at figuring out, certain things. Like rumors are that they found Osama bin Laden. There's all types of crazy stuff.
Cool. I didn't know that one.
Yeah, so they kind of are like a data mining company, but they're really able to leverage it in so many different ways. I know they do stuff for automotive companies. They do stuff for BP. They're in literally every single industry. It really doesn't matter. Their data can basically be applied to anywhere to help these
and let me ask you one more question. I found the trade, so we'll get to it in a second here. But God damn it, the columns are all screwed up now. All right, whatever. I have it. We'll get to it in a second. But the other question I have about this stock is with regard to their private contracts, right? Not the government contracts, but the selling to the Fortune 500 companies. Is that something that's new to them? Have they been in that business for a while, et cetera?
Yeah, so I believe their two products are called Foundry and Gotham, right? And the one that they just launched, which is for corporations, is super new. I believe they really, took off maybe late 2019, 2020. Don't quote me on that. But, it is relatively new, right? And the contracts that they've been pulling, they're like a $22 million contract, maybe a $30 million contract. They're nothing huge, right? So where they're at right now at that is a joke to them, right? It's good to see that companies are interested and willing to pay for their products, but the money right now is a joke. And I think eventually it will be these huge dollars and they'll just have a huge client base, right? This is a company that was like, we don't even need salespeople. And now they're starting to hire salespeople. So I think they're going to really be doubling down on that type of stuff.
All right, and I have the trade that we did. Again, we're doing updates on two trades that we made on the show last week. We did covered calls against our Visa stock position, and we went ahead and we sold puts on Palantir. So let's break this one down. I'll talk about put selling at a high level for a second, and then get into the specifics of the trade and where we are at. But basically, we sell puts against stocks that were absolutely 110% okay owning for the long run, right? Because your worst case scenario when you're selling puts is pretty bad. Right. We did. So check this out. We sold the April 16th, 22 strike Palantir puts. And so basically what we are promising to the person who's on the other side of this trade is that we will buy shares of Palantir for $22 if they so force us to do that. Okay. So if the stock went down to $1 per share between now and April 16th, we still have to buy it for $22. And that's why I only do this on stocks that I'm absolutely okay holding for the long run. Fine to throw it in the long-term portfolio, not think about it for a while. All right. So the stock was at about $25 when we went ahead and we made this trade. It's since pulled back. Last price on this one, $21.72. So it's definitely gotten hammered a little bit within the past week since we made that trade. And what we did was we sold the puts for 92 cents each per contract. So that essentially makes our break-even price $21.08 on the stock. We collected those $92 per contract right away when we sold it. And again, the risk that we're taking on is that we might have to buy the shares for $22 sometime between now and April 16th. All right. Again, because we get that credit when we sell the puts right away. Again, our break-even price is $21.08. So we're still looking okay on this trade. Not great. If the stock goes down to 20, we're buying it for 22. It goes down to 18, we're buying it for 22, etc. The stock stays above that $22 strike price. We collect those $92 per contract. We just keep it rolled up in the account, and then we're on to the next trade. So those are the updates on those two. And now I'm going to try a new sound. It says LeBron James. I don't know exactly what that is. We'll give it a go.
LeBron James.
All right.
I had a feeling it was going to be that.
Okay, I had no idea that it was going to be that. But all right, Drewski, we have a very special guest ready to join us. Coming to us from Simpler Trading, Danielle Shay. Let me roll our nice little special guest video. Danielle, what's up? Welcome to the Power Hour. Thank you for joining us today.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
And it looks like you have a fish tank in the background.
Yes, I do. It's a saltwater tank.
Okay. Can you take us through what we're looking at in the tank?
Definitely. So I have a blenny. He's pretty awesome. A couple different starfish. And right now I'm working on getting a couple more because one of them actually jumped out of the tank. But
wait, the starfish jumped out of the tank?
No, it was a goby, actually. He tried to escape. So I'm a little low on fish right now, but I have some more coming.
Wait, what's a okay, hold on. I think we're all Googling this now. Goby fish. Okay. All right. Wow. That poor little guy jumped out. Okay. There's the screen. There's a goby. Did I spell it wrong initially?
No, that's right. My son picked him out. It was a sad day.
Google helped me a little bit, but all right. Well, we'll get some more goby in the tank, I suppose, for next time you're back. But Danielle, why don't you go ahead and get us started? You sent over some market thoughts, and maybe give us a little bit of background on yourself as well, and let's just dig straight into it.
Sure. So I'm Danielle Shay. I'm the VP of Options at Simpler Trading. I primarily trade in a directional momentum style. Trade a lot of options. I definitely buy and hold stocks as well. And you can find me in the Simpler Trading trading room. And I also have my own options picking service. So mainly all about options and directional.
Awesome. And when you say you're trading options, like what sorts of option trades are you making? Like, are you selling credit? Are you sort of picking stocks with them and buying, calls or puts outright? Tell us about that a little bit.
So it really just depends on the overall market condition. When the market has a little bit more momentum, especially like what we saw in January and last year, I was definitely buying a lot more long calls. Okay. But right now I'm doing a lot more multi-leg option strategies. So I'll buy butterflies, I sell credit spreads, I'll sell naked puts, just stuff like that, just due to the volatility.
Okay. Awesome. All right, and I guess but before I ask some questions about that,
Sure.
write down some notes. Tell us where you're at with this market. You said your option strategy depends on how the market looks, what you're seeing in the market. So what are you seeing today, these past couple of weeks, etc.?
Well, it's been pretty volatile, as I'm sure you know, and your members know, and so for that reason, I've really been focusing on using strategies with wider ranges. When you're just buying long calls or puts, and then you have these situations where one day the market's up 4% and then it's down 4%, it can be really difficult to trade with just long option strategies. And so for that reason, I'm using a lot of butterflies. I mean, basically right now we just have the NASDAQ stuck inside a range, right? We're stuck between the 100 and 200 simple on the downside, and then you've got that overhead resistance at the 50 simple. But in good news, because we're consolidating and because the NASDAQ has been a little bit of a laggard, I mean, I am looking for the NASDAQ to eventually break out of that consolidation. And I'm personally betting on it going to the upside, even though it looks a little bit weak right now.
Woo! All right. More bull times ahead.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Yes, I think we'd all be glad to hear that. Okay, and then what about small caps? I mean, the Russell has been getting hammered, and today is another one of those days, down about 2.5% almost.
Yeah, and honestly, this is just how this market has been. One day up, one day down. The Russell right now, because it's broken down below that 50 simple over the course of the past week or so, it doesn't look as good as it previously looked. But because of the relative strength that it has, I am still looking for some more upside there. I mean, there's a couple different stocks specifically that I like. I like MDP, Crocs, Yeti, Sonos. These are some small caps that I think are pulling back and look pretty good. But I mean, the main concern for me is just all of the high beta names. A lot of the names that have been really strong throughout last year and the beginning of this year as well. At first, when we started seeing the sector rotation coming out of them, I think everybody was waiting to buy the dip. And at this point, it just isn't really clear that it's going to actually go higher after the dip. So I think my biggest concern right now is just those high momentum names, especially a lot of the COVID names that we've been trading.
Okay. And you named a couple small cap stocks that you like Meredith, Crocs, Sonos. Those are three that I caught. Any of them that we can dig into a little bit deeper and talk about?
Yeah, sure. So what do you want to do? Set up some trades or just...
Yeah, let's do it. I love setting up trades.
All right, let's do it.
And if you have a screen to share, you can share it too. Otherwise, I can keep control of the screen.
Oh, sure. Yeah, well, okay. I see. I haven't used this streaming platform that you have. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty simple, right?
All right, let me see if I can figure that out.
All right, you can do it. And check this out. We got a new soundboard today, too. It's got like 100 sounds on it. I'm sort of just working through it. Let's try this one.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
All right, that's a decent one. Okay, that one gets the pass. I said later in the show today, if we have some downtime, we're going to let the audience vote on which sounds we keep and which we kill. So some nice things that come with the streaming platform.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I mean, I really like it. It's great. All right, I got my screen shared.
Yep. All right, we see it.
All right, so looking at Sonos here. First of all, I like Sonos. Do you have any Sonos speakers?
Yes, we do. And I can't really point my camera up. In this office, in this Benzinga HQ, Detroit, Michigan, we are fully Sonos surround sounded through the ceiling. It's pretty cool.
Well, perfect. So if you're like me, I mean, I like to buy stocks of companies that I actually like, right?
Yep.
But the reason why I like this one here is because you see that last quarter, you had a really nice breakaway gap that never came back and filled. Well, I'm sorry, 2 quarters ago, actually. And the quarter before last, you had yet another breakaway gap. And so typically when I see that pattern and then I have another earnings
And these
report,
are daily candles that we're looking at, I assume?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
5-year daily chart. Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. And then you can see how there is an earnings report coming up, which is going to be on May 5th. So typically when we have this pattern, I'm going to try to get my drawing tool. where you have those two breakaway gaps in a row, usually you're going to see a rally into the next quarter's earnings report because people are going to be anticipating that they had such a great report twice in a row. And so typically you're going to see it rally into that level.
Okay. And earnings date is, one of my trusty Benzinga Pro here. All right. So it looks like it's going to be early May.
Yes.
Does that sound about right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay. So May 5th, that's the estimated date per the Benzinga news team. Okay. And so basically the stock has gapped these last couple of earnings reports. And so the bull case for the stock is that we'll probably see a run up into this upcoming earnings report. Is that a fair summary?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I like it. And then is there anything that you could see on the chart that would make you bearish on the stock? Like, are there any levels you're watching that, hey, if it drops below this, I'm bailing, etc.?
So usually I use the 50 simple. With the volatility as of late, 50 simple has been we've seen some price action right around it on a couple different key stocks, but that is typically the level that I use in a trending market. I would say really the 100 would be a pretty key line in the sand that if we really see a breakdown and a shift below the 50 simple, and then you also have, your candles trading below here, then that's kind of the point where I wouldn't look at it any further. I think my main concern with stocks like this right now is just what I was saying about the kind of the high momentum names is that a lot of them are really starting to break down. But this one, even though it is down 3% today, it really has just pulled back to the 34 EMA on a daily chart. So, it's really not it's not a deep pullback by any measure, and it's a great viable level for me.
Okay. All right. I like it. One trade idea already. Can we do another one?
Sure. Which one do you like? Yeti?
Let's do Yeti. I don't know if we've ever talked about Yeti on this show. It's a good one.
So I like Yeti. I own the stock, and I also have a ton of Yeti. I have the Yeti cooler. I've got the mugs and everything. I'm out here on the lake, so I use it all the time.
Okay.
So I'm a huge fan of that. But I really like on this one, same thing. You've got the pattern where you have an earnings report coming up. On this one, on the daily chart, it does look a lot sloppier than what you're seeing with Sonos. But because of that sloppiness, I use what is called the squeeze. Do you ever use the squeeze?
No. What's the squeeze?
So the squeeze is just a consolidation breakout pattern. So it's going to be this guy right here. Basically, when these bars light up, you have white, 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 and red. That just means that the chart pattern's consolidating and it's likely to break out. So the last time we had one, it went from $50 a share.
So what is the squeeze an indicator of?
It's consolidation breakout. So basically saying that the ticker is consolidating, and if it's a trending chart, then it's likely to break out in the direction of the trend. If it's a non-trending chart, then it's kind of a toss-up. Okay. So if you look at, the last one right here, it did trade higher in the direction of the trend. And since it's been consolidating around this $70 price point, basically I'm looking for it to make the next leg higher. So that's a daily chart. If you look at it on a weekly chart, it's also consolidating on the weekly chart as well. So when I have a chart that's been consolidating not only on the daily, but on the weekly chart and building up that momentum for a while, then I'm looking for that eventual momentum breakout.
Awesome. And yeah, we hear from a lot of people who like these sort of sideways charts with the expectation that it's going to break. It's been stuck for a minute. It's going to find its time. It's going to have its day. And finally rip higher.
Yes, and that's exactly what kind of tickers I trade. Primarily though, it has to be a ticker that is moving in the direction of the trend. It can't just be, a chart that's been trading sideways for a year going nowhere. I really like to look for relative strength names. So anything, that's going to be up when the market's down, or perhaps not down as much when the market's down. I also like to look for ones that are holding the key moving averages on the daily chart. Definitely the 50 simple is a pretty key level, but as you can see, the 50 simple on my chart is going to be this yellow one. So you can see that it has traded above and below it, but I really just kind of equate that to the amount of time that it's been in consolidation, and it's still holding this 100 simple. So for me, that's still, a good tradable chart. And with the earnings report, it's all the way out in May, so we have some time there. That's one where I wouldn't really mind buying some long calls on it. But I mean, I do own the stock, and I do think that it's a good spot to add some more stock as well.
So would you buy? And are you suggesting like if you were to get long the stock via calls, you're picking an expiration that's before earnings or afterward?
So if I'm going to buy the calls, I like to buy the calls in the earnings series because I like to capitalize on the rise in IV going into the report. And then if I'm going to buy the stock, I just like to buy it obviously as low as I can. So when I get a pullback, I typically buy it at the 50, and it's sitting right on the 50 right now. So that would be a good spot for me to either pick up the stock or the long calls. The thing about the run into earnings typically is it usually works a little bit better on a 21-day time frame prior to the report. So we're still a decent ways away from entering a 21-day time frame. So I would just say it's a little bit early right now for the actual options trade.
Okay. And let me ask this: when you're getting long a stock via calls, generally speaking, what goes into your thought process for picking out the strike price?
So first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to decide, is this a run into earnings or not? Because pretty much all of the trades that I'm doing right now are going to be trades where I'm looking for a run up into an earnings report just because of where we are on the calendar. And so if that's the case, and if the company has a report coming up in the next 21 to 34 days, then I'm definitely going to be buying the long calls in the same series in which it reports earnings. And that's because you're going to see that rise in IV as well as hopefully a rise in price. So sometimes, if you're wrong and it trades flat, the price of the options are still going to go up because the implied volatility is rising going into the earnings report. So that's why we do it that way. And the next piece of that is I'm going to look at the delta. So for example, if we were looking at the Yeti trade, this is going to be the series in which they would be reporting earnings. And then after that, I'm going to look for usually around delta 70 to delta 50. So that would give me a range. Here, let's see. Let me get the box on there instead of that circle.
Your drawing abilities on the screen are unreal.
Oh, thank you.
You got the free pen. You've got the ovals. You've got the squares. I think you might have a future in creating NFT art. It's been the hot thing. You're very, very competent in the drawing on the screen. So I'm thoroughly impressed.
You. Well, we have a trading room over at Simpler Trading, and so I'm used to presenting in this format. So I think it's really awesome, the format that y'all have, because I definitely like to draw on the charts. I used to be a teacher, so it's kind of something.
Okay, what did you teach?
I used to teach elementary school, 6th grade.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, very cool.
So anyways, basically what I do is I'm looking for a delta anywhere between really delta 40 and delta 70. I also like to look at the volume and open interest with something like Yeti, especially 53 days out. It's going to be, there's not a ton going on here, but there's still a couple hundred contracts per strike, which is going to be fine for me. I'm also going to look at the spread. If you have a spread that's wider than I would say about 75 cents, that's when I really don't want to be getting into buying an option, because it's going to make it harder when your spread, like if your spread's like $2 or $3 wide, you're just not really going to get a good price on the way in. You're not really going to get a good price on the way out. So that's a time where I would pass. So I'm looking for the spread of 75 cents or less. And then I look for the price of the option. So a lot of the trading that I do is focused on kind of building small accounts. And so usually when I'm looking for a delta 70 call, I want it to be about $10 or less. So this would fit the bill. It's just a little bit early for me because most of the trades that I place usually are on a time frame of about 2 to 3 weeks. But that's why I would just buy the stock here and then, kind of wait. But for people who like trading options on a longer dated basis, I think it's a good trade. I just like to get in and out a little bit quicker.
Yep. No, I hear you. And I definitely will sometimes do that. I'll go like 2 years out on options sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, not so here's an example. Okay, Ford ticker F. That was like my big bull bet going into the year, and basically the thesis behind it was on the number side of things. The multiples were fine, right? The stock trades in line with the rest of the industry. So if I'm wrong, I'm not going to get cracked on it. And then the thing that I liked about it is that the company signaled to us that they're going to spend a ton of money on EV platform, right? Specifically marketing their EV platform. They're going to have their first products out. They're just going to advertise it a ton. We have a lot of what I call EV energy, right? Where we've seen like these Neos and Teslas and all those EV stocks, especially, in the latter half of last year ripping. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to take this bet on Ford. I'm going to go way out. I'm going to buy what did I do? I did the 2022s. The January 2022s, and got the $12 strikes, back a few months ago. So those are the scenarios where, I really don't have a ton of idea on timing for that, other than the company said they're going to spend a ton of money on marketing EV this year. And so that's why I chose to go way out on that one.
I like it. I mean, I like the Ford play. I think that they've done a really good job climbing off of the lows. You have that pullback and consolidation right into the 50 that I like to see. You do have that earnings report coming up as well. You got that consolidation. I love when you see a nice pullback to that 50 simple and then you get a wick on the bottom like that. Just shows, buyers are coming in, they're confident on the stock when it's pulling back. So I like that a lot, and I think it looks good for an options trade right now too. I like your idea going all the way out into next year. If I was going to set something up,
another Ford bull. All right, I'll take it.
Well, I do like Ford myself as well. I mean, I have 2 of them. So
all right, there we go. All right.
I like them. I like your whole EV analysis. I think on this one, I was looking for a spread. There's just not really a lot of juice in here for me to do a spread or anything like that. But I mean, I like the options out in this April 28th series too for a shorter dated trade. What's your price target on it? Do you have a target?
No.
So
no, really. Basically, I've been. When I had the momentum, right, I sort of had this philosophy of let it ride. When I saw the momentum start to crack a little bit as we have in the past few weeks, I started selling covered calls against the stock position that I have in it, right, generate some income. I'm fine getting taken, right? If it's a 50% run in 3 months, I'm fine if my shares get taken away from me. So that's how I've been playing it.
Hey, I like that idea. And I mean, for something like this too, that's so cheap. I mean, you could even just sell some naked puts down here if there's any premium. Let's see. It's not a whole lot of premium, but you could do it if you wanted to pick up some shares. But yeah, I mean, I like the stock. I like the pick.
There we go. All right. And another one for Ford. And let me ask you one more question.
Yeah.
You talked about butterflies a little bit. Can you just take us through the butterfly trade and when and why you like using them?
Sure. So I'll go ahead and use Microsoft as an example. I have a butterfly on this one right now, and I'm going to be adding some more. Basically, the reason why I like to use butterflies is because when you are just buying a long option, I mean, you're just buying that premium, right? And so when the market explodes to the upside, that's perfect, right? But when the market is just sitting here and it's just trading higher, lower, higher, lower, higher, lower, that's basically like death for a long call, right? Yep. So
time decay.
You
just got that nice little time decay going against you.
You got the nice time decay, yes. And so for something like this, where I have a specific price target. If you're going to trade with Butterfly, you have to have a specific price target. But what I do is, number one, I use a lot of Fibonacci. So here's my Fibonacci 1272 extension level. That's going to take me right to about 252. Let's call it 250. So I like to look for a confluence between Fibonacci levels and then a key psychological value. So 250 is a pretty good number. I also like it because it is just right above the previous all-time high. So when and if there's a breakout on this ticker, it's likely going to go and retest that previous high and then go to the new all-time high. So first of all, setting up a butterfly on Microsoft, I like it because it's in the consolidation, because I have a pretty decent target, I feel like. Yep. Also because you have a run into earnings coming up. So Microsoft, historically, it does really well on the run into earnings. And so usually every quarter, I'm going to go ahead and trade that because it's just one of those things that, and let's see, I have another grid right here that I can show you.
Oh, and I'm looking at Microsoft EPS right now. They've beat on EPS. They've beat 19 quarters in a row.
Well, exactly,
crap.
right. And so this is another grid that I have come up with. I call it the earnings hot zone, but basically it goes and kind of calculates those numbers. So this grid is actually only looking at 8 quarters, but I mean, you can make it look at as many quarters as you want. Usually I look at the last 2 years. But on average, you've got an earnings move of about $10 in the 21-day period prior to earnings, which is about 4.5%. And then these bars right here, they're color coded to show, okay, did Microsoft trade higher 21 days in advance? If it's green, yes.
Yep.
And so if you look at the zones, I mean, historically, that's what it does. So with this one, I set up some butterflies because of all of those reasons. So typically what I do is I place my long call right around where the price is currently trading.
Okay.
And then I place the short calls. Oops, that was a little messy. These are going to be the short calls right up here at the target. And then you have another long call up here because that's just your protection so that you're not short too.
Yep.
So the reason why I trade the butterfly is because when the market's just chopping around like this, it also works really well in a directional environment. You just have to shorten the time frame. Is because this long call is kind of decaying while it's doing nothing, but it will eventually make you money as price trades up into your zone. But while the market's chopping, you have 2 short calls that are staying out of the money. And so those out of the money calls are decaying, which is making money. And then this one is not really doing too much until price takes off. But the goal here is to keep the price from between where you are right now, which is 230, up into the target zone. So if you have a ticker where you have a decent idea as far as, okay, I think it's going to stay above this level and I think it's going to stay below this level, then you can basically just set up a butterfly using that target zone as your target. So, I mean, you could do it on Sonos.
And how far out do you typically go when you're setting those up?
I usually only go about 3 weeks, but because of the volatility as of late, I have been going about 4 or 5 weeks, just because when you're in a directional market like this, it's really, really easy to do them so that they're expiring the next week and the week after, because, you know, you wake up every day and the market's like, oh, goes higher, goes higher, goes higher. But when you're a little bit choppy, it takes a little bit longer. So I have been doing them a little bit farther out. But I mean, for example, if we were going to do it on Sonos, I wouldn't want to do it in the earnings series. I would do it probably the week before.
Okay.
Looks like you can't actually, sorry, because we have monthly options only on this one. But normally I would just do it. Huh?
Come on, Sonos, get that market cap up so we can get some weekly options on this thing.
Exactly. So, I mean, same thing. I would just set it up. I would look for a confluence between that target. You've got 45 aligning. See, look at that. 45.88 is your fib level, aligning with the key psychological value, which is just right above the previous high. So if you set up a butterfly where you're targeting that 45 zone, and then you put your long strike down here, your short strike here, and another long strike up here, basically you are making money on your long as long as you stay here, and you're making money on your short as long as you stay below here.
There we go. And if people want to learn more, they want to stay in touch, how do they do that?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Twitter. Trader Danielle is my handle. And then also have a free webinar coming up on Wednesday evening this week. And you can find the link at simplertrading.com/repeat.
And what are you doing on the webinar?
So on the webinar, I'm going to be talking about the run into earnings. It's really one of my favorite quarterly setups that I use. There's a lot of different setups that I trade. I mean, I trade the consolidation breakout, I trade the short squeeze, but this one is just based on the calendar system where you're looking for key tickers that are running into earnings. So this webinar is going to be about the run into earnings.
All right, there we go, guys. Earnings season is coming. Don't be left out of strategy or just guessing. Be strategic about it. Producer AB is going to get both of those links in the chat, both for the webinar and for Danielle's Twitter. Danielle, thank you so much for joining us. You gave us some awesome lessons here. You also showed us some stock setups. I don't think we could ask for anything better.
Thank you. It's been awesome.
Absolutely.
Have a great day.
You as well. All right, guys. Yeah, I see a lot of awesome chat comments in the chat saying great stuff. Hope she comes back. Yes, we're absolutely going to have to invite her back. Will she accept our invitation? That remains to be determined, but we will at least make the ask. I can promise you guys that. And now it is time for our chat challenge. ZingerNation is going head to head every single week. What is the best performing stock of the week going to be? All right, guys, it is that time of the week. We're ZingerNation. We are putting the ask out to you. I'm about to hop into the YouTube chat and spam this link here. I always have to squint. Sorry, guys. I really can't see well at all. I keep these glasses around my neck for quick access. See? But all right. Link is in the chat. You guys all have it. The question of the week is, we've talked about the Russell quite a bit. We talked about how small caps have fallen out of favor. And so the question of the week is, what is the best performing small cap stock of the week going to be? That is what we are asking ZingerNation. Small caps have gotten hammered. I've gotten creamed a decent bit because I own a good amount of IWM. It makes up about 15% of my total portfolio. So when that thing's getting killed, here's a 1 year chart right there. It hurts, right? We got SPY at all-time highs. The Russell is a decent bit off of that. And so the question of the week is, what is the best performing small cap stock of the week going to be? Okay. And we're going to use the definition small cap pretty liberally here. All right. I've got it written down on my notepad that I used to prep for the show. I've got it circled. $10 billion. Okay. 10 billion and below. That is the question that we're asking. All right. You got to say, what is the best performing stock that has a $10 billion market cap and below going to be? That opens up a big universe. Of course, you cannot throw in your Apples or your Alibabas or whatever they are. I see somebody in the chat keeps asking about Voyager. We'll get to Voyager in a second here, hopefully, if we have time, because that's part of my due diligence lesson. But again, guys, the question is, what is the best performing small cap stock of the week going to be? And let me go ahead. While you're entering it, I'm going to paste this link into the chat again. Let me preview you for the rest of the day. We have our young investor joining us, talk hot stocks. He's always got interesting picks for us, a lot of stocks that I've never heard of. So he's going to be hopping on the stream with us in just a couple of minutes here. Later today, if you like me, you can't get enough. I'll be back at 8 o'clock Eastern with Ruel in the chat for our weekly Ruel's report. So that's at 8 o'clock Eastern. But of course, we are going all day between now and then. Mondays, we go 12 hours straight per day, guys. So smash the like on the stream, share the stream. We need to get the viewer count up, or otherwise Jason is going to go ahead and cancel all of this live programming on us. Look at, he's not even here today. Maybe he'll make an appearance in a little bit. So like the stream, guys, smash that like button, share it. We're bringing the trade ideas. And again, in just a couple of minutes here, we're going to be bringing our young investor on. We're going to have our ETF show, pre-market prep at the close. And then we're basically going all after hours until 8 o'clock Eastern. And I'm going to add our special guest on the stream. What's up, man? Zach, how you doing?
Hello, can everyone hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
Brilliant.
All right, we're in the middle of our chat challenge. Small cap stock. Do you have a favorite right now?
I was about to tell you about one right now.
Okay. All right, I jumped the gun. Go ahead.
Yeah. So today, one of my highest conviction stock picks right now is Peak Fintech Holdings. It's on the OTC under PKKFF.
PKKFF. All right, I'm logging you in here. Young investor. And guys, as you're filling out this sheet, scroll down, right? Don't keep writing on top of everybody else. Scroll down. I'm gonna put the link in the chat one last time. You've got a minute left on the clock, and then we're closing it for the week. Benzinga Pro. Can you believe that? It's a Benzinga Pro giveaway this week. Isn't that a good one?
The Benzinga Pro is an absolutely fabulous giveaway.
Yep. We haven't done it in a while. I got in trouble with this Benzinga Pro sales team. They said, Luke, you keep giving away like 8 Benzinga Pros a day on the show. I can't sell any of them. And so basically we said, okay, we'll pull it back. We'll stop. But this week it's back. It's a short week. We got to celebrate a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, there won't be any Benzinga Pros to sell if you carry on giving them away.
Exactly. So, all right, guys, 30 seconds on the sheet. Get your guesses in there. And young investor, what stocks do you want to talk about today? Okay,
so I want to talk about PKKFF.
All right, let me pull up a chart here. PKKFF. Yeah, I'm going to put the ticker in the chat there. It's sort of a tongue twister. It's Papa Kilo Foxtrot PKKFF. All right, there it is.
Okay. So Peak Fintech Group are a small fintech company based in China, and they enable small businesses and small companies to be able to take loans from some of the bigger corporations. They connect all these previously underbanked, maybe family businesses, with the massive lending corporations and take a small fee. So in around 2018, 2019, they launched in China, and they did for the first year, they targeted one city as the kind of phase to see if it actually worked, to see if they can make money. That year, they turned over $11.7 million in that one city. In 2020, they're estimated to turn over around $14 million, now in 31 cities in China. And this year, they're going to be continuing their rapid expansion and growth. And I project around $250 million in revenue for this company. Right now, Peak Fintech Group are most probably around the market cap around $240 million. This is a company which is probably going to be growing 500 to 600% per year. It's so under the radar. It's going to have its whole market cap and revenue, which is phenomenal. And they recently announced they have plans to expand into North America this year, and then have plans to expand into several different countries. In a few weeks' time, they're going to be uplisting to the Nasdaq. They may be doing a reverse split so they can get that share price of $5, which will allow institutions to start buying in. So I really do think this is such a huge potential. They'll also get $50 million from a Nasdaq uplist, as they're going to be selling $50 million worth of shares, all to institutions who I'm sure don't have any plans to sell them anytime soon. I've been loading up on this stock. I think it's really under the radar. When else do you get a stock which is going to have a whole year worth of revenue? It's growing 600% year over year. You've got a China stock. Yes, it's risky, but honestly, I found this stock and I was absolutely amazed. And, you see all the stuff like Upstart, which is trading at 10, 20 PE ratios. This stock is trading at a 0 PE ratio right now. if it turns over that $250 million. If it goes to $20, that's a 10x. So that would just be around the 10p, which is hardly unreasonable in a market like this. So I think this is a stock which is one which I think has such real chance of getting to $20 and beyond. In 1 year's time, I'm thinking it'll be around $20. They've got revenue guidance coming out in a few weeks. Honestly, this is such a phenomenal company, and I'm very long. I'm long on the stock, and I've been buying every single day.
Yes, there we go. Now that was a pitch right there. I've got a new soundboard today. Let's try out a new sound.
Good.
All right, that was a little anticlimactic, but there we go. All right, you are getting very good at these pitches. I mean, all right. So let me ask you a few questions. So something that's still not clear to me. I mean, this is the most basic one. Is what exactly the company does.
Okay, so in China, there's loads. I mean, you can see it throughout China. There's loads of these small businesses which do not have access to even getting loans. Most probably small family businesses.
Okay, so it's a small business lender, basically.
Yeah, it's a small business lender.
And are they the bank, or do they enable the banks to lend to these businesses?
They enable the banks to lend to these people. And the best thing about
pure tech play. It's not a banking play, it's a tech play.
In 2020, they had a 2% of people did not return the amount of money they had on loan. That's actually a phenomenally low figure of 2%. This is just proving the kind of businesses they're going after. They look at the businesses in quite detail and look to see if they will be able to repay these loans. And all the fintech companies in China like them. Chinese government and local governments are giving them plenty of deals. And then that $250 million, which I project, is not taking into account a North America expansion this year. They recently partnered with the second largest steel manufacturer in China, and the spokesperson there said this company has plans to expand into several different countries. I just finished reading Peter Lynch, One Up on Wall Street, and he talks about all the kind of growth phases. I think this is a company which has at least 7 years of growth ahead of it. Maybe 1 year from now, it might still be growing 100% year over year. If they carry on expanding to all these brand new countries, I think it's just so cheap. And honestly, I think the fair value, at least, which is the super heavy buy zone, is anything under $5. So I think still then you've got around a 5x opportunity in the short-term future. Okay,
so and you said that they went live in one city, right?
Yep.
And they made $11 million there. And then it's 30 cities that basically, again, if you guys are just joining us, they enable banks to lend to small businesses, but the expectation is that they're going to be live in 30 cities, and that's where you get to your $250 million revenue estimate. Is that a fair summary? So
they're going to be expanding into even more cities this year to get to $250 million. I say 80 to 100. That they got a lot of partnerships with the small local Chinese governments right now. Obviously, they really like them because it's all Chinese, so you're not having all the outside kind of companies come in. And it's a company which is growing at such a rapid pace. They're originally, they've got offices in China, in Canada right now. So probably that's where they're going to be helping expand to North America. I just think it's so undervalued. And also, just as a quick note, in a few weeks they're going to be changing the name to the Tenet Finance Group.
Okay, and let me ask you this: how did you find this stock? Right, this is a $2 100 million market cap OTC listed stock. How did this one come on your radar?
Yeah, so a regular guest on SPACs Attack, JMac Investing. I'm a member of his Discord. There's a penny stock channel, and shout out to Jay Swedes and Mike the Penny Dropper who is in the chat. These guys are all really full blown on this stock in the penny stock channel, and they were all talking about it one time while I was watching it, and I just thought I have to look into this company. They were talking about a whole year's worth of revenue, so I was thinking, too good to be true, right? So I go look. I spent around the whole week, most of the weekend, researching this company. Extremely hard to find information on it.
So how did you research it? Were you reading their site? You have SEC filings. What are you looking at when you dig into this one?
Yeah, so all the financial documents I had to read right through, because there's nothing on Yahoo Finance or anything. Had to read through all the financial documents and SEC filings on the website. Okay. So this is part of the thing. You are investing in an undervalued stock where you've got literally no analysts covering it. The company has not really been proven or recognized by the market yet. So I think you've just got to wait, and obviously more and more information will come out as that market cap starts to grow. But right now it's just such an under-the-radar company. You're going to be pretty hard-pressed to just go on and quickly find information. You've got to be digging through those SEC filings and those financial documents.
Yes, and I love what you said about there's no analyst coverage of the stock, right? These are the ones that I love, and I think you can really dig into
We don't know them yet.
yeah,
Wait
exactly.
5 years, all Wall Street will be buying them, all the hedge funds will start picking up their stock in them. They've already had plenty of interest from hedge funds wanting to buy the stock when it uplists to the NASDAQ. As I said, they might need to do a reverse split, or the share price just explodes and gets that $5 organically. Because when it hits $5, you're going to get a massive institutions coming in and buying this stock up. I've never seen a company so undervalued as this. I haven't been
Yes,
invested
let's
for long, about
go.
a year.
You're
But
bringing the energy today.
this company has more upside. Back when I was looking at Arcimoto back in the day at around $6. Honestly, I've never had a high conviction play like this on a small cap stock with what they're going to be turning over this year. And a super conservative estimate, which I've seen, is 150 million. That's half. At current growth, it's going to be around 250 million. I'm very excited for this. It's got everything moving in the right direction, and the market will eventually come to recognize and value this stock appropriately.
Okay, and then the Nasdaq uplisting, is that speculation, or did the company come out and say that they're gonna be a Nasdaq traded stock at some point?
Yep, the company's come out and said they're going to be a Nasdaq traded stock. We're expecting an uplist in the next 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay, 3 to 4 weeks. There it is. Undervalued stock. Again, guys, ticker PKKFF. OTC right now. It is a small stock. I think it's super interesting. I'm not buying it right away. I want to do my own due diligence and dig into it a little bit. But again, I love that you like this, because there's no analyst coverage, right? Like I'm going to drop in the chat right now a stock that I dug into. It doesn't really have analyst estimates. It sort of does, but they don't update them. So I went and just like you did, backed into my own revenue estimate for this name. Use that to get a sense of value on this one. And so basically next up for the stock, we have that NASDAQ uplisting and then earnings. Do you know when next earnings report is coming out?
Late April.
Okay, so not too long, about a month or so, 3-4 weeks.
Yep. And I think we're looking around $25 to $30 million in that quarterly earnings report at the moment from what the company's put out as guidance. I mean, the company, I haven't taken into account in that $250 million any foreign expansion. And look, I don't know how much they can grasp in a company like North America, in a continent which is much more advanced. But at the end of the day, there's going to be some sort of revenue there, which would add to $250 million in the next few years if you're expanding to more and more countries. Maybe some places in Southeast Asia, which I'm thinking about. This is perfect for Southeast Asia. Such an underbanked and such an underappreciated economy in Indonesia and the Philippines. I think this company just has such a unique focus to really expand around the world. I mean, look at a company like Upstart, which recently exploded. I mean, this company, I think Upstart may be at like $550 million in revenue. Haven't done a deep dive. 250 mil in this company right there. It's completely not unreasonable to think there's going to be a 10x PE in the short-term future. And obviously, companies like Upstart are like 20x, 15x PE. So being quite conservative, this is the kind of company which, is going to, I think, would make huge gains in the short term and the long term.
Yes. All right. I love it. And with the stock trading at $130 million market cap, if they hit that $30 million revenue estimate that you have for the quarter coming up in about a month, I mean, that's only one-time sales. And a stock like this trading at even 10 times sales, if they are in fact growing that fast, is not crazy. Because they're going to be, that growth holds up. They're going to be at a 5-time sales multiple pretty damn quickly. So it's interesting. One last question about this one, then I want to talk about Created in a second. Cash. How's the cash position looking? Do we have risk of dilution, etc.?
Yeah, Created. So recently, Created went on a phenomenal run. It was up something like 46% in a quite short period of time in one whole day. NFT hype with the stock there. I took the opportunity to sell off some of the stock, obviously.
Oh my gosh.
NFT hype. There was no real announcement. There's no announcement from the company whatsoever. Smart move is always sell out of a lot of your position in that kind of situation and take your profits. I still do have some stock in Created. I do think Created does have. It's got dilution. I've always been clear. There's going to be dilution risks. They're looking to acquire brand new companies and add to the current ones. Some great catalysts there. Some news came out recently that they hit that 20,000 paid vocal subscribers. They're aiming for 100,000 by the end of the year. So in the first 1 month or 1 month and a half of this year, they doubled the amount of paid subscribers on Vocal. If they can get to 100,000 Vocal subscribers, which they are far on track to hit right now, I think the stock does present a good valuation and opportunity at current levels. They always raise dilution. They do look to acquire new companies which they can add around. They're doing a bit of VCing at the moment. And I always keep my eye on this one, just because there's that risk of what I call diversification. You diversify too much, and the business turns out as a terrible diversification opportunities. But right now they're in spaces which they know. So as long as they keep on the right track, I'm still holding some of my stock and Created. But I did sell quite a lot of it when the huge run up of 46% came, because there's no way it could sustain it, and the next it came crashing right back down.
Okay, and check this out, guys. So that huge spike he's talking about, our young investor, stock went from about $5 to over $7.50. That was rumors that this was another one of those NFT plays. We've seen the NFT stocks going crazy. I don't know if we'll have time to get to them today. We might have to save that one and the due diligence lesson for tomorrow, unfortunately. But all right, so Created you still like. I'm going to ask you about one more stock, but first, so something that you said last week when you were on. Was that for your school, you have to take 2 COVID tests a week?
Yeah.
Are you still taking 2 a week? Those ones?
Right now I am. Yeah, right now.
They hurt so bad. I've gotten it 3 times. I teared up all 3 times. Are you used to it at this point?
I always just sneeze loads as soon as I've taken it.
Yeah, not a good feeling. All right, and then the stock that you talked about last week, it was App. What was the farming one?
App Harvest.
Ticker APPH. Yep.
Yeah, so I haven't still really built up a huge position in the stock. I do really like it. I think it has phenomenal growth ahead. This is one of the companies which I believe you're going to have serious growth in 10 years. So instead of normal 5, which some companies have, this is a 10, 15-year consistent grower. More and more food will be needed by 2050. Half the world's population, we need something like half more food or double more food by 2050. So this company is going to be there on the forefront of this. And with climate change, you want to try and get all your farming now to smaller portions, not taking as much of the land up. App Harvest is doing this perfectly. They only require a very small piece of land to get 30x the yield, which is also on the pro front of climate change. So it's helping the environment, growing 30x the yield, more food. One of the biggest opportunities of this play is organic food is extremely expensive for the ordinary and average person. This company, without putting any pesticides into their food at all, is basically giving you organic food, but for the normal price of the shop, as consumers demand even more and more in quality and less so in price, and as they continue going into the future.
Yes, and somebody in the chat, they've been paying attention. You pitched this one last week on the show. Yeah, Kramer had the CEO on. You beat Kramer to the punch. I love it.
Yeah, I said on the last show that there was going to be a Kramer pump, so I was also partially in it for that. And obviously then the CEO, Jonathan Webb, went on Jim Cramer, which gave the stock a nice boost on that day.
All right, awesome. And out of those 3 we just talked about, so again, it was PKKF, CRTD, and then APPH. I'm going to guess that the PKKFF is your favorite of the bunch. Is that a fair assumption?
Yep, that's 100% a fair assumption. Right now, I think Tesla and CleanSpark are my 2 biggest. Tesla, Alchemist, and CleanSpark are the 2 biggest in my portfolio. Our 3 biggest. Peak Fintech is right behind at number 4. I really think this company is the most upside in my portfolio. I've just acquired over the last 3 days about 120 shares in it. I'm probably going to just carry on adding quite slowly now. But I do think if this company gets people start capturing onto the company and more interest comes out, especially with that uplist in NASDAQ, when you're going to get institutions buying in and people on Robinhood and all the ordinary trading apps who can't access Peak right now because it's on the OTC, then you're going to see a big jump in the stock price. And I'm very excited for the long-term and near-term future. I can see the stock in 3 years down the road, if they can carry on with the revenue growth, carry on expansion, I can see it being a $5-6 billion company if they can continue on the right tracks as they have over the last 4 or 5 years. They've carried on growing around 300-400% per year, consistent growth, They've proven themselves in one city in 2019, are expanding constantly. They're going to be in a fabulous cash position with the $50 million from the Nasdaq uplist, and are in a reasonably good situation right now. But with an extra $50 million to the balance sheet, we'll be able to let this company have that foreign expansion plans and continue expanding to every single city in China.
All right, I love it. I might have to add this one to the portfolio tomorrow, so stay tuned, everyone. Do a little bit of my own due diligence, right? I'm not the crazy Jason Raznick, just buying stocks out of the chat. It's been working very well for him, but I'm gonna do a little bit. But all right, final words of wisdom. Any final words of wisdom for us?
Smash the like for Benzinga, but honestly,
there we go. Smash that like button for young investors. That's you smash the like for all the ideas you're bringing us. Especially
like Luke said, 12-hour stream per day, 84,000 subs. You got to be kidding me. Let's get Benzinga to 100,000 at least in the next, 2 months. I think what these guys do is absolutely phenomenal. And, I always love coming on, and I think the most important bit in the stock market is always to have fun.
There we go. Awesome, man. Zach, I appreciate you hopping on with us every single week, hanging out, bringing us the ideas. Your pitches are getting hot. I love the energy you brought for this one today. You got me fired up. I was a little sleepy for the first hour of the show, and now I'm ready to rock and roll. So thanks for
one last thing with PKKFF looking to acquire a brand new company this week, which is one of the smaller lending players in China, and that will help them expand into another 10 cities. So that's just something to keep on your radar for this week if they do acquire that company. I can't pronounce the Chinese name. But yeah, if they do acquire that, you might see some positive movement from the stock. Awesome, man. All right, you brought the fire today. I appreciate you coming on, and thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks so much for having me on. And producer AB, drop the links in the chat how they can stay connected both on Twitter and on YouTube, and keep the idea train flowing. Yeah, it's a pleasure for coming on. Awesome, man. All right, guys. How about that? Smash that like button. Share this stream. Let's get this thing going. That got me woken up on this Monday morning. The sun is shining. It was dreary before our young investor came on. He brought the sun out. He brought the energy out. We are ready to rock and roll, guys. Unfortunately, I've got to bounce. I'm going to leave you in very capable hands. Don't worry. But I've got to bounce. I'm actually about to go talk to an ETF company and talk about, some Benzinga partnerships that we can do on the ETF side of things. Little bit of a preview. I'll be back at 8:00 Eastern tonight for the Ruel Report, as we are every single Monday. We have our ETF show today. Tomorrow on the Power Hour, noon Eastern, that is this show. I'm going to do that due diligence walkthrough, how I think about a stock, how I back into some of the numbers and find something like a strong fundamental story that I like. We have to talk about NFTs. I want to do that today. We didn't get to it today. But I'm going to bring on some very good friends of mine. Producer AB, Mitch Hotch. Welcome to the Power Hour, guys. I'm putting a lot of faith in you.
Where's my horns?
We're working with it. We got a new. Let's see what we have. Let's try this one.
Hello, cutie pie.
How's that?
Hello. Hi, how we doing?
How's it going, y'all?
You got to get a deep voice with that one, producer. AB. After he plays that one, it has to get deep.
Good morning.
Oh, wait, all right. Here's a good one. Ready?
How good of you to join us.
Ooh,
there it is.
That's a little scary.
That's the right one, guys. I'm passing it off to you. I've got to get back to work, get back to building at Benzinga, guys. The email address, powerhour@benzinga.com. If you guys have a stock you want to pitch, hit us on that email address. We'll bring you onto the show, give you the floor, let you pitch them. And again, tomorrow we're gonna do a due diligence lesson. We'll talk about Voyager. We'll talk about NFTs. Stay tuned. Stay on the channel because my good friends here are gonna bring the ideas.
Let's do it. All right. So let's take a look at what's moving out there. So just pulling the gainers list here, regular session. Of course, what do we see? HOFV trending higher. I mean, let's talk a little NFTs. First of all, I want to talk to the chat here. Who out here has NFTs, either stocks or NFTs? Let me know. Press a 1 in the chat if you got some. I want to see how trending this really is. Young investor, shout out, definitely. You
Yeah,
already know.
I put the Twitter for Young Investor in there. So if you're not already, go ahead and give Young Investor a follow on Twitter.
100%. I don't know if you saw the video over the weekend. I don't know if you got to see that. Did you get to see the video, producer AB?
Of what?
The NFT, bro. The NFT on Saturday Night Live.
Oh no, I did not.
You didn't get to see it. You didn't get to see it. All right. Just we might get a little bit in trouble here, but what the hell? Let's have some fun here. Let me pull it up here.
Yeah,
let's see let's see a couple seconds here from here. So I got it ready here. Just got to get the shared screen ready here. All right. Share audio. Boom, boom. All right. So we're skipping a little bit into it here so we can have some fun.
Oh,
Who likes their NFTs, bro? Yeah, you remember when I did this one for Mitch?
Mm-hmm.
Mitch is back.
Yeah.
Back again.
Yeah, I heard you the first time.
Oh man, this is the NFT game we got started, man.
Did they make this video an actual NFT?
It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, if that's the game that we got into, man, I mean, you could just imagine where some of these NFT plays can get to. I mean,
I personally don't have. I wish I had some like NBA Top Shots. I wish I would have gotten some back in the day or last NBA playoffs, but I don't have any right now.
Well, shout out to Chris. I know he got some. I don't know how. That guy's always ahead of the game. Chris Ketchy. If you guys don't know him, definitely check him out on Twitter. But let's take a look at HOFV today. Let's look at a 1 minute. You know, let's look at an actual trading.
Yeah, let's get up
trading
close
chart here, up close and personal here, pulling back a little bit here. So one thing I definitely would want to use. So just to give you guys some insight, let's use a little indicator here. My favorite indicator, the VWAP. You know, you got to use that one. I know that some people like that one, some people don't, but hey. I definitely like to use it if I'm day trading, guys. So just give you an insight. That's definitely my favorite. So now, you know, we started the day with like kind of a little flag that really gave us the first breakout, right? And then from there, we kind of flagged again, broke out, tried to break out through the 650s. That's really where we kind of got this turnaround right here. The high of today is 648. Now we're pulling back towards these supports right here. There's 570s. That's kind of the area that I'd watch to see how it reacts. Kind of if we can get some support, some volume to kind of spike down here, it could be someone taking the support, buying into that support. So that's what I'd watch here. With HOFV, I think it's going to have its up and down moves. They're going to be quick ups and then quick downs. So you definitely got to be careful on both sides of these trades. But it's an interesting chart, just to say the least.
Yeah, that's one that I've definitely kept my eye on. I'm not in it. I got to say that, you know, full disclosure, I don't have any open positions, not holding the stock. So I'm just kind of been watching it. And it seems like that's one of the ones that's going to keep moving in the NFT space.
It'll be interesting to watch. All right, so let's go ahead and see what other stocks are moving on the day. If you guys want us to take a look at any tickers, put it up in the chat. Especially if they're NFTs and we could check them out here. Carl's talking about W Key there. That doesn't look like a bad one to talk about. One thing that I can talk about is Mara. Let's take a look at some Bitcoin Life. All right, so we did get a lot of ones for NFTs. Now let's hear about the Bitcoins. Who's holding some coins? Who holding at least some Mara, some BTBT, some Riot? Where they at? Let us know what you got. Where the rockets at, John Doe? Where the rockets at? Let us know what you got, man. All right, so let's see what Mara did today. It looks like Bitcoin going up a little bit, so we could take a look at this chart. Man, this is one of those really quick spikers right out the gate. 930, 934. It went from like 3880s all the way up to 4040s and above. So definitely some day traders jumping on that momentum and then getting washed out. That's how it goes sometimes, guys. So let's look a little bit on a deeper time frame here, 15-minute chart. So this is when you can kind of see a little bit more of the levels. So I definitely, you see the support here close towards 38. Kind of doing this.
What high did it hit earlier today?
The high is
Of the
40, 44. Exactly.
Wow.
So it did a quick move up. So what do you see in this pattern? Do you see anything there? Do you see anything that it looks like? Time to test AB here live.
Oh, are we talking about a little?
Yeah, I'm testing you. I'm testing
cup
you.
and handle we're looking at.
Oh, a little test there.
I'm seeing
So
little
kind of a little uptrend, right?
Okay.
A spike.
There we go.
All right. So let's get the cup.
There we go.
All right. And so now what do we need? We need a dip and then a handle. So now we're starting to get that push. Let's see if we can get this push through this high and get back up there towards the 39.50s.
And then we'll be ready to have a little tea party with the.
One of the things that I'd look at for always confirmation of patterns is volume. So you're seeing how you got this downtrend action on the volume. I would look for a nice spike bar, something like up here while it goes through resistance. Because when you get through resistance, you want to have high volume. Because if you can get that high volume, that's how you get to that next level, that momentum push up. So it's going to be interesting here. You guys can make fun of my drawings. I can't blame you, but no NFT sellings on those drawings. Let's just say that. But Mara, is going to be interesting. Bitcoin, where is it going to get to at the end of the year? I'd love to hear some guesses out there in the chat. Do you guys think Bitcoin will get to 100,000 by the end of the year? Press 1. If you guys think Bitcoin doesn't, press 2. I'd love to see where the chat stands on Bitcoin. But as you can see, a lot of people talking about Mara, Riot. Some people say they sold the move, that rip right there today. I can't blame them if they.
Which one is Mara and do they mine Ethereum too, or they just stick to Bitcoin? Do you know?
At least it's showing here Bitcoin, but let's see in the overview if we got anything a little bit more about Ethereum. If you guys know a little bit more about Marathon and exactly what they're mining, let us know here in the chat. I haven't traded Mara since back in I think 2018, but it is an interesting stock up today, 8.5%. Looks like we're getting a mix here, ones and twos. Some people don't think it can get towards that 100,000 level.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I might.
What do you think? What do you think, man?
I think we might test some new all-time highs, around 65,000, 70 here in the next couple of weeks. But I'd be surprised if we get all the way up to 100, honestly. You said within a year?
Yeah. At the end of the year, there's a lot of people talking about it.
Who knows? I mean, we saw it run up from 12,000 to 60 within the last 3 months or whatever. So, who knows?
Tiago, I don't think they're mining oil. All right, guys, let's go ahead and take a look.
No, but I was curious about Ethereum because obviously Ethereum's the one that's being used more to power the NFTs. So, some of these Bitcoin mining plays might be getting a little NFT push as well.
I'm just pissed. I had Ethereum the day that the Dogecoin started rocketing, and I picked the wrong one. I woke up. I said, man, Doge up 70% already. Should I grab that one? That was the day that it went up 500%. And that's how it goes. You snooze, you lose in this market, at least. All right, guys. So let's take a look at some other stocks there. Look, was that real? Was that real? Hold on. Let me see that wick there. All right. Looks like we're pushing a little bit in Mara. Hey, guys, if you guys are enjoying that Mara stock out there, I know there's somebody having some fun out there right now. I don't know if you watched, but there's a couple of kind of smaller stocks that I think might take over the GME craze here. This is one that I'm out of now, but might get back in. I might do it right here on stream here with you guys. So this is Genius Brands, guys, the Genius Life. I know that you guys like some hype stocks, so I brought the hype here. So the truth is there's a Marvel conference tomorrow, guys. So they got that conference tomorrow that's coming. They got a lot of news. And I'm going to show right here why I like this stock so much is really the 1 hour chart.
Wait, when you say Marvel, are you talking like superheroes?
Yeah, dude, like the superheroes, they have a deal with Disney,
So we're gonna see some like Superman NFTs.
So this is the stock that actually owns Stan Lee rights already. So just to give you a little insight on that. Stan Lee's name, I mean, you know how good that is.
I'm surprised Marvel and Disney don't somehow own that already.
Look at this move here that you can get and draw from on the 1 hour chart. This is 1 hour, and this is all the way back from the 4th of March. I got in this stock at 168, guys, and I was able to sell out in the 250s. So right now I'm kind of watching it because it did this kind of big move up towards $3. And then I sold it on this pullback when, we were kind of concerned on Friday. So I've been watching it to see if it can test this line again and maybe hold it one more time. But it's been interesting because it keeps testing that line. And every time it tests, it comes right back up. Right back up. And so this is how you can find sometimes lower support uptrends that you can look to target to get your kind of risk and reward profile in a big mover like Genius. All right, guys, what do you guys think? What do you guys think about the Genius? Go ahead and put a 1 if you're a bull, 2 if you're a bear in this one. All right, so one of the things that I would say is, they're saying, what if it's a sell the news event? Well, the problem with that sell the news event is that this is not the only catalyst that's coming. I've talked about this stock on Power Hour before. So what I'm watching is the flow of catalysts, or news flow in here. And the news flow is just going to keep coming out. So they got that PR, right? And then in early April, they got the new Shaq show coming out. They got the Arnold Schwarzenegger show coming out. They got rumors of supposedly they could maybe get into NFTs. They got rumors of also another one that, and this is a strict, a little bit out there kind of rumor. They've been talking about trying to attack Elon Musk to try to get a cartoon made out of him. That could be another interesting play. But in the next 3 weeks, with a couple of shows coming out, the Roblox connection, Disney connection, there's just a lot of connections here. And in the end, this is a stock that was hyped at one point. If we look at the 5 year, look at the 5 year. This stock rocketed at one point. It had a high of 1173, now has come down. But what has really drawn my attention is once we started getting these moves with high volume, because that's what you need to break out a stock that was pretty much dead for like a year. You need some high volume to really get this stock moving. And then if you follow it on the daily, it doesn't look too bad, with that uptrend, even on the hourly, So just kind of, I'm following that uptrend. I would love for it to test 250s again, but we'll see what happens with Genius.
I like it. I'm liking the pitch. I like the fact that, if they own Stan Lee's name and his rights outright, then it seems like they're going to be able to make some money off that, because people love the Marvel movies. People love, Stan Lee's comic books and all that. And I expect that to, if they don't make, like, the logical next step would be for them to get into NFTs. Don't you think, Mitch?
Yeah. It makes sense. They got cartoons, they got all this content. Why not make NFTs? It definitely, at least on that aspect, it makes sense in my eyes. I can feel like I can talk a little bit more freely now that I'm actually out of the stock. But yet I feel like this one is a big play. At the end of the day, I was up sitting in this stock over 50, 60% multiple times and didn't sell because I saw bigger vision for this stock. And there's just a lot in play. The real question I think that's going to happen here is they have a subscription model, right? They do have their partnerships with like content, but they also created their own subscription model where, let's say if you were a parent, AB, I don't want you to be that quick of a parent, AB, but if you were a parent here
down the road, let's see.
If you were a parent here, one thing that I've noticed is they have a really cheap plan here. It's about $5.99 to get the package, the content, and you could just keep watching that content consistently, and that's that's something that, I think, as parents coming out of the pandemic, if you can just spend $5, get all the content you want for your kids, it's not that bad. Daniel, does Disney own Marvel? Yes, that's what they're in talks with. That's what we might hear of tomorrow, and we're going to get some more information. So it will be interesting. They said it was going to come out at the end of the month. We got talks. It could be tomorrow at the conference. So we'll see what happens. That'll be an interesting one to watch. Any other kind of penny in your game, man? Anything up your sleeve?
Any smaller stocks you're asking me if I'm looking at?
Yeah, if not the chat, let us know what kind of pennies are out there. What kind of games out there?
I don't know if I have any like real small stocks I'm watching right now.
None call your name. All right, so let's take a look at some other ones. I did see W Key mentioned a couple times.
Oh yeah,
what's that one doing?
We had their CEO on.
That's that NFT player, right? Yep. That looks interesting. I mean, it's just trending on the weekly, a little bit slower now. So it doesn't seem the biggest exciting right now. I personally, at least from the chart, I'd watch more of HOFV. At least for right now, that chart seems to have some more momentum, some more ignition there. I did hear talks of Kathy and in the space ETF. So we can go into that, but let's see let's see what the chat's mentioning here. Daniel's mentioning clean spark. Let's take a look at it. All right, let's take a look at the daily here on Clean Spark. One thing I'd say is that, this is starting to bottoming out. It looks like it's trying to bottom out here. But one thing that you have gotten is that it did have this floor, right, at 25, and then you cracked that floor. So you got to look for that next level, right? If this was kind of that level from right here, if we use Alt H, if this was kind of that level, you look at the next level down, and then that's kind of how we got that big down day, that we went towards those 1750s and went kind of towards this resistance prior in the 15th of December. And so the question is, can we kind of hold near these levels again? I would look from 20 to about 1750 here. If we can hold somewhere, create another bottom there, and then start trending back up, that would get me excited. But it's scary because that 1750 could crack, and the next level down is down towards about 15.
Yeah, I want to see it coming back up before I get back into this one.
Yep. And that's exactly what I would like to see. I always look. So one thing is with this gap down, right? And that was, I'm pretty sure, the offering they made right here on the 15th. And so look for it to come back towards that shadow with some big volume. And then maybe it could kind of close that shadow. And then when we close that shadow, is this going to be really important to watch where it broke down from, which was that 30 price point, and see if we can get back above those 30s.
Yeah. I mean, this is one that I've been watching for a couple months. Shout out Jack Hurley. Pitched this one on Power Hour a few months ago.
Let's find some cheap movers here. Instead of looking at a price target here on Benzinga Pro with an infinity, let's look for something down all the way towards $10. So now we're filtering here, but we can get some plays that are moving, and maybe we find something that's on the move today. All right, so let's take a look at some of these charts. I'll take a look if there's anything that really stands out. One thing that I'd want to look at is volume. Volume to me matters more than kind of even this change. So let's pull that to the side. I want to see something that has, million shares of traded, so that at least, if you're trying to get in this, you have some liquidity. So let's go ahead and take a look here. There's this, this is just coming down as soon as this one just downtrended all day. Mogo. This is one that's interesting. It went up towards that 12, pulled back towards the 8. Looks like they launched a Bitcoin cashback mortgage program. This is interesting here. Let's take a look at this chart, see what we see here. Nick, I see you. I'll get to that one next. I got you.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you've got some tickers in the chat, throw them out there, and also tell us kind of what time frame you're looking at. If you want us to look at it from like a, daily, weekly, monthly.
This is interesting. This is an interesting 15-minute chart. I don't know if you see this kind of easy sticking out downtrend, but you can kind of see it's starting to to
Oh, I
try
see
to
that,
create
man.
a bottom,
I see it.
And I mean, if you wanted, one of the things that you can do here, you can either try to draw it from the wicks, or you can try to draw it from the body. Sometimes you are going to have to draw the resistance at the body, because wicks show extreme price. And so sometimes that could have been just an extreme price that just kind of spiked up and went over that level there. So it's interesting to watch here. We are getting some bottoming action here by this 860 and this 880. It's interesting that you did get some volume to jump in there right back in towards those 860s, and then it came back and touched that 860 and quickly recovered. I would look for maybe an attempt back down towards the 70s, but really we needed to get back above the VWAP around that $9 to see it look like it's trending back up. But it does have a catalyst today, so you never know when it can get back up there. What do you think about this one, AB?
I mean, look, I'm not in this one. I'm kind of staying away from, what's it trading at right now?
$8.87. Mm-hmm.
I don't have this one. I mean, like I said, like the same thing with CleanSpark, the one we were looking at right before this one. I want to see it kind of start making that move upward before, which it looks like right here Mogo might be trying to do right there at the very bottom. But I want to see it start making that move up a little bit before I get into it. And it's okay if I miss out on a couple percentage points on the bottom there. If it starts coming up 5-10% and I get into it, I'm fine with missing out on a little bit. I want to see that action on the way back up.
Yeah, it's an interesting stock. Definitely has gotten some love. Some traders definitely trading it. It always trades in the millions of shares. So that at least helps you at least have some liquidity in the stock. But you do need to see big spikes to see those big moves. All right, let's go ahead and let's get into some of the ones from the chat. I did see some mentioned here, so I want to get back towards one. Let me roll up here. MRKR. That one's definitely one I don't even know. So I'm going to have to give you straight up technicals.
Marker.
The mark. You know about the mark?
I've heard this. I don't really know too much about it.
All right, let's take a look here. Let's take a look. The daily chart seems like it's just going sideways. One thing I definitely mentioned is that, when a stock just goes sideways, you need some momentum. Either or, whether it's the downside or the upside. And a lot of that times the momentum is going to come from volume, guys. So let's see the daily volume, see how it is, see how it's kind of pulling back that volume. So right here, if we draw kind of a trend line, all right, guys. So one thing I definitely do see is a bottoming action on this one. So I understand why you would kind of be mentioning this one. It does have that bottoming action somewhere here in the 225 area. But the interesting thing is that you're not getting that same volume spike. Here you traded 64 million shares, right? I'm not sure what this day was, but my eyes, I would look for another day where I can get like 30 million shares traded, even 10 million, but not like it's trading right now where it's trading only 2.14 million. That can easily just turn around and crack this 220. So it's going to be interesting. If it could get some volume, it towards that 260, it would be interesting because it did have this spike out day and kind of a gap fill on the downside. Sometimes when you get those gap fills on the downside, you get some buyers to step up in the support, and then it brings it right back towards that push that you had. All right. Looks like who's that in the background? We got so many people in here. It's exciting.
Spencer, we got Drew, we got David,
Drew.
we got Drew,
it's a party, bro. It's a party. Drew, you're welcome to join if you want. You're welcome to join on. I know Spencer's in the back getting ready for some option life. I'm super excited about learning some options. One thing I don't know about you, Aaron, I can't trade options, bro. I don't know. Can you trade options?
Oh, I try. I do my best.
I stick to stocks, bro. I stick to stocks.
David Green here trades everything. He's not. He does some options, I believe, but he's doing everything. We've got just live trading with David going on. I believe
that's going to be fun. One of the things that I'm really loving about Benzinga is we're starting to get to the point where we have so many different personalities and trading styles that come on, and really that's what trading's about. It's learning that there's not one road to success and that you have to find what works for you. Find what works for you. Sometimes it's going to be these rockets. Sometimes it is. And if it is, and if you're doing great at trading these low price, low float, big movers in the day, then hey, power to you. Pull the account and have some fun. Enjoy. Always remember your risk, because when you do trade like that, you got to understand there's also the other side of it. And when you win big, you also more than likely can lose big if you don't manage that risk. And then it's going to be fun to continue watching the different styles. Learn something. Every single person that comes on here has something that they learned that you can learn from also. What do you think, Drew?
How are we doing, guys? Yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying there. Everyone has their unique investing / trading strategies. I know Mitch likes his technicals. I'm not too big into technicals, but I'm always willing to learn, So definitely agree with you guys.
Yeah, there's just so many now. I even enjoy it. I enjoy learning from different fundamental specialists, or like I've learned from Dennis. The story matters, man. And in this market, story is almost everything. And it does go away for a second, but it's right back. The story matters more than anything. And I mean, you could look at certain stocks that are ripping today, and the story is what gets things going. And it's going to be fun to watch how things continue with either it be NFT stories, Bitcoin stories, cannabis stories. It could be cannabis. I mean, I know cannabis has been pulling back, but let's take a look at some of the cannabis plays. But I think you can have a next ride with one simple mention of legalization. Where are these cannabis stocks going to go?
To the moon.
They're going to get high, I'll tell you that much.
Sundial to $5.
No, but yeah, Sundial. I mean, I heard some talk of GWG. That was a monster. I mean, that went all the way up to 70. I think from about $4. I mean, look at this chart. Look at that.
Yeah, we're talking Grow G right now.
Yeah, this is Grow G from 4 to 68.
This is like one of the OG, cannabis
monster stock there. I mean, I don't know if anybody traded that one. I'll tell you right now, you guys would laugh at me, but I was like, oh yeah, short it here. Oh no, short it here. Oh no, short it here. Yeah, I got it right here, but holy moly, I would have been paid up. They would have put some pain on me on this one. So that's why I don't do it. I'll do it mentally. But I don't short like all-time highs, like just trying to call the top, because it's tough. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I actually have some Grow Generation in my portfolio.
Uh-oh.
I got a decent cost basis, but yeah, when it was up big, I liked it a little bit more. I still think they're huge. They've got a sick opportunity with hydroponics, like really cool market. So I like them. We'll see how far they go, though, or see how far they grow.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be interesting. All right. So if you guys got one you guys want me to take a look at before we get on out of here, I think we got about 5 minutes left here, and then we'll be introducing a show here. So I'm going to see. You got anyone you want to take a look at, Drew?
Cannabis or any stocks in general?
Any stock in general. That's the fun part about it.
What do you guys think about Credit Suisse?
What ticker is that?
What is their ticker? I think it's
CS.
Look at Spencer on the move. Yeah. As you can tell, I don't trade too many banks. Let's see what do we got here. This is what is it doing? A gap fill back up? At least that's what it looks like. A lot of times when you get these.
What was its low this morning? Did it opened at its low and it's been climbing back since?
Around 850 it hit its low, but right at the open you did get a lot of volume to step in, so that could be people taking their hit They were up here. It woke up and was like, oh man, what happened here? What happened here, guys? And then so they put their sell order on just whatever platform, and as soon as it opens, it tries to sell. And so you see a flux of high volume, but it really did hold kind of that third bottom really close there by that 11.10. Could have maybe risked off that 11. It's looking strong now. It's looking like it wants to come back towards that high of 11.59. What do you see in this, Drew?
Yeah, it looks like a hedge fund kind of exploded. Luke was talking about this earlier on the show. $20 billion kind of being distributed to their banks or whatnot that they work with. So Credit Suisse being one of them. I think it's going to be pretty interesting. I don't think this thing, it might dip some more, but I think there is some value, right? You know, one of these one-off events. That's what I love to get it. You know, one of the first trades I made was when Volkswagen got hit with their diesel scandal. And, you know, this is kind of ringing the same bells in my eyes. Whenever a company, like a really big company that has a great name, great reputation, just gets absolutely smacked, I like to step in.
Hey, you know, one thing that you got to pay attention to is, you know, with negative catalysts, I always question, will there be a following negative catalyst? And so that's really the kind of the question, because sometimes it gets priced correctly. Like it could be that, hey, maybe the low here is that 11.10 here, and that's the pricing should be kind of met there. But another catalyst could come in, you know, and the question is the selling party done? You know, I think that's what everyone's questioning. We'll have to take a look here in the next couple hours, but we are seeing a little bit of a turnaround there in the SPY now. I think you got to keep your eye out also on the major markets. A lot of people are wondering what's going to go on with the major markets today. We've had, you know, kind of down, up, down, up, down, up. So many ups and downs. I don't think I can call it. It's fighting to get through that 400. I don't know if we're going to be able to do it. What do you think, Drew?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think we'll tap it. I don't know if we'll break through it strong, but I think we'll work our way up there. Honestly, I think the SPY is, you know, decently positioned. I think the NASDAQ is super interesting, right? QQQ.
Let's do it.
Kind of in a little bit of a range here, using some of my technical analysis skills maybe on it. Probably not great. But it's kind of up, down. It does not look nice, right?
Yeah, you know, I for bigger indexes, you know, we could use kind of more of a weekly, see what's going on here. One thing that I've noticed and I've pointed out was the intense amount of volume. Like, I mean, look at this. I mean, I know it's sideways time, so you usually get some more volume, you know, but the only time I can compare this volume, I mean, we trended down with volume, and then big spike. So I think, you know, we're getting ready for a big move either way, up or down, whichever way it's going to go. It's going to be a fun ride, you know, and I'm going to be waiting to see what happens. I'm kind of more in a wait and see moment. I don't know about you, Drew. I'm 50% cash right now, ready to put some cash to work, but I have to see some trend. And so that's what I'm trying to see right here.
Ooh, I don't know if I'm a big fan of cash right now, you know, with inflation concerns, but maybe some de-risk assets. Some silver might be cheap. Some gold could, I mean, it's high, but if inflation hits, maybe some BTC if you're feeling a little risky. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of cash right now. But I do like, you know, sitting back, because I think, you know, Michael Burry, someone I love to watch, and, you know, see his posts on Twitter. He was freaking out. The SEC had to pull up to his house and say, like, calm down a little bit. So we could see some wild movements.
Oh, so Drew's over here, a little gloom and doom over here, talking about inflation and hedging with Bitcoin. Looks like we got Mitch on mute.
The old no. I mean, at the end of the day, inflation's real. Inflation's here, but there's also money. There's also supply.
There's definitely money.
And that's another thing to keep in mind. With inflation, there is inflation. Certain people have it tough, but then there's also people that have been making good money and just got a boost to invest. And so maybe those people are looking for investment. Certain people that are going through some troubled times probably don't have an account to start with. And not to be mean, it's tough. I mean, if you can't pay the bills, it's very, very hard to invest, So it's going to be interesting to watch what happens out of this market.